Welcome to our show. Today we're diving into the world of work gloves, focusing on the Dewalt DPG66 Nitrile Nylon gloves.
That's right. These gloves have been gaining attention, especially among DIYers and professionals. Have you ever tried nitrile nylon gloves before?
I have, and I find them much more comfortable than traditional leather gloves. The Dewalt DPG66 seems to promise both comfort and durability. What do you think makes them stand out?
For me, it's the combination of the nylon shell and nitrile coating. That blend gives a good balance of flexibility and grip, which is perfect for handling tools.
Absolutely. The nylon makes the glove lightweight, almost like a second skin. It's easy to forget you're even wearing them, which is great when you're working long hours.
And let's not forget the nitrile coating. It provides a nice grip, especially if you're dealing with slippery materials. Ever had to pick up a wet screw with bare hands?
Too many times, and I always end up dropping it. With these gloves, the grip really helps. Plus, nitrile resists oil and grease, so your hands stay cleaner.
That's a big plus. The gloves are also breathable, thanks to the nylon. No more sweaty palms after a day of work.
True, I remember using thick rubber gloves before and my hands would be soaked after an hour. These seem to solve that problem nicely.
I read that the Dewalt DPG66 gloves are also abrasion resistant. That's a relief for anyone who works with rough materials or tools.
Yeah, nothing's worse than a glove that falls apart after a week. Durability matters, especially if you're on a job site every day.
Do you think the snug fit of these gloves could be a downside for people with larger hands?
That's an interesting point. Some people do prefer a looser glove, but the snug fit here actually gives better control. It's like the difference between mittens and driving gloves.
I get that. More dexterity means you can handle small parts without taking your gloves off. Handy when you're assembling something intricate.
Speaking of dexterity, the glove's flexibility is a game changer. No more struggling to bend your fingers or losing touch with what you're holding.
Totally. Have you noticed how some gloves make your hands feel clumsy? That's not an issue here. Even picking up nails or screws feels easy.
That's probably why so many mechanics and electricians like these. Precision matters when you're dealing with small hardware or wiring.
I've also seen gardeners using these gloves. The grip works well when you're pulling weeds or handling wet soil.
Definitely, and the gloves are machine washable, which is a lifesaver. No more smelly gloves after a tough day's work.
Speaking of cleaning, do you think repeated washing affects the nitrile coating?
It might over time, but from what I've seen, they hold up pretty well for several washes. It's always good to air dry them though.
Good tip. Another thing I like, the Dewalt branding. It's a name people trust for tools, so you expect the gloves to be tough too.
Branding does help build confidence. When a tool company makes gloves, you know they've thought about the needs of workers.
The Dewalt DPG66 gloves also come in different sizes, which is nice. No more squeezing into a one-size-fits-all glove.
That's a relief. Ill-fitting gloves are the worst. Either they slip off or cut off circulation.
Have you noticed the colour scheme? That black and yellow combo is classic Dewalt. Easy to spot in a messy toolbox.
It's funny how something as simple as colour can make a difference. If you're always losing gloves on the job, the yellow trim helps.
I've even heard of people using one glove for gardening and keeping the other for car repairs. Versatility at its finest.
That's multitasking. I guess the only thing these gloves won't do is make your coffee for you.
If only. But they do protect your hands from cuts and abrasions, so that's a win.
Do you see any situations where these gloves might not be suitable?
Maybe for heavy-duty welding or handling chemicals. They're not heat-resistant, and nitrile isn't meant for every chemical.
Good point. It's important to use the right glove for the job, but for general construction, assembly or gardening, they're pretty solid.
I agree. And for people with sensitive skin, the nylon liner is less irritating than some other materials.
It's like having a protective shield that's comfortable at the same time. Not bad for something so simple.
Simplicity is often underrated. Sometimes the best gear is the stuff you don't notice until you need it.
So true. I think the Dewalt DPG66 gloves hit that sweet spot between function and comfort.
If you had to sum up these gloves in one word, what would it be?
Reliable. They do what they promise without any fuss.
I'd say essential. Once you start using them, it's hard to go back to anything else.
Well, that's a wrap for today's deep dive into the Dewalt DPG66 Nitrile Nylon gloves.
Thanks for tuning in. Next time you're tackling a project, maybe give these gloves a try.
And remember, the right gear makes all the difference. Until next time, keep your hands safe and your grip strong.